Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be starting off the showcases with the new Velzard, the Frostplate Dragon. So I wanted to choose her first because she has the brand new ability, which we'll talk about in just a second. But she is attack, she uses a sword, she's magic and water, she's on Spirit Master, Dragon Hockey, Exalted Champions, and Stern of Spirit. And then she is a support ult, 150%, but she gives Weakness Strike to both Spirit Master and Dragon Hockey Force characters. So she can buff two forces at once, which is great. Interesting to see if you're on both. Do you get double this, or is it just 25%? We'll kind of science that out as well. And then Weakness Strike is Weakness Strike. If you get the EX ult, it's double that. 25% is what you're going to get base value with no dupes and no investment into the ability release board further than, without the special rocks. Her first skill is the brand new buff Aegis, which is based on your character's defensive stat. So Velzard's defensive stat, Leon's defensive stat, Blanc's defensive stat. It will take a portion of that and it will add it into your attack power. So, we will certainly do some sciencing on that. And then she also lowers Aegis resistance by 100%, which means you're going to do 100% extra damage when you activate Aegis, which is pretty good. Her second skill is a bit of a gimmick. It is like a super frostbite effect. It stuns them and puts the frostbite, which enhances debuffs by 30%. And then on top of that, it is a stacking stun strike ability, which, when an enemy is stunned, you're getting an extra attack buff, essentially, is what this is. So you can do 10, 100%, 50%, something. But it only activates when the enemy is stunned. So if they're not stunned, this does nothing for you. But ideally, they should be stunned because you could use this skill to stun them. She is a charge unit, so turn 6, 7, and 8, she gets the extra weak point. Her Valor trait lowers enemy ult gauge, which can be annoying on defense teams. And then her actual trait, if you have dupes of her, is protection gauge every 3 turns. So let's do some science on this new Aegis ability. Alright, in order to get an idea of what the Aegis buff is and like how much power Velzard is actually giving to someone, we're going to take this kind of weird hunky-dory team full of different kinds of buffs, and we're going to do some damage testing just to see where it stacks up among some other common things that you might find out in the world. I don't know if I'll use every single buff, but we definitely have an amount to use here. So let's gather some science and come back. Okay, so we nuked with Fern. They were always EX ults. The only thing we ever had active at any point was the buff that I meant to use and the 8% magic attack trait, so that was active all the time. So this is Fern's EX ult with nothing going on, is 67,000. Okay, cool. If we use her big time ult damage skill, the 100 EX up and the 100 ult resistance down, it goes up by quite a bit to 271k. And that's a very powerful skill. It's got two 100 point buffs, so 100% buffs on it. That's pretty good. But if we drop it down and we just do the synergy buff from Diablo, it's 181k, which is definitely not as much, but it's definitely not a 200% buff. It's a 100% buff, which is to be expected that it's going to be lower. And then if we compare it to the Divine General hero with her Pierce skill, that is 138k, which we know that Pierce is not the most powerful buff in the world. It is certainly stronger, but it's not as good as Synergy or Crit, or Aegis, because Aegis is doing 183k. Now, we know that Aegis is based off the defensive stat of the attacking character, so this 12.4 and then plus whatever stats she gets inside the game, inside the actual battle, it's probably close to 15,000 or something when I looked. But it's based off of Fern's defensive stat. So, it could go up. If we had a full, 30% defense jacket or whatever, then Aegis would be more powerful. But it is fairly close to Synergy right here. So 183 versus 181. It's not that far off. And, Fern could have a synergy power thing on her staff. I can't remember. I mean, I guess we could check. Certainly possible. Equipment and check. And she's got synergy. Okay, she's got 24% extra synergy power. So it's actually much stronger than synergy. So if we drop down that by 25, or actually, so yeah, 24%, we're going to be hitting around 160-ish. 100. Math is hard. Someone do that math for me. Obviously, synergy is now weaker than Aegis because there's nothing that can buff Aegis. There is no enchantment for that, and I don't think I have defensive stats on her jacket. No, I don't. So, okay, so Aegis looks to be a pretty powerful buff, which is good because it's always good to have more power on future teams and old teams. So now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and put it into practice with an actual team and use it in its proper scenario. Alright, let's go into beatdown battle with the new units, the Masked Hero, Leon, and Velzard. We're going to bring some older support characters, Visions of Coleus, Blanc, and Violet, and then second anniversary, Hinata. Element buff, magic buff, which will stack alongside the permanent buffs from the hero. Weakness strike plus a triple alt swap, and then Leon with his own buffs, and then Velzard obviously with the Aegis, but also the stacking stun strike. Okay, I didn't think we need to sit here for the first couple of turns. We're on turn 3, we've got ults because of the hero, so let's go ahead and... yeah, let's alt swap here, and then we'll change that one last remaining green orb with Violet, so that we brought 2 different orb changers here, which is probably going to be kind of necessary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, we haven't started using it yet. But, even though Milim does have stun resistance, as you can see up there, we can still start applying the stacks of Stun Strike from Velzard. So let's go ahead and do that now. Oh, yeah, sure, why not? Let's just do yours instead. Boom. And then we'll take you out for Velzard. So, again, the Stun Strike is there, but we can use it. And, you know, it will affect us because now, if we look at Leon, he has 10% Stun Strike. So even though you can't stun her right now, on turn 8 you can stun her, and then all those stacks will actually mean something. Now, Stun Strike in of itself is just treated like a normal attack buff that is conditional. It only activates when the character you're hitting is stunned, but it's not some supremely busted power. It is just an attack buff that only activates under certain conditions. So it's not uber strong, but 50% extra attack is 50% extra attack, which can help in some scenarios where you're needing extra little tiny bit of damage. So even though you can't stun a character or you can't stun somebody, if you can eventually stun them, then the Stun Strike will come in handy, because then you'll just continuously do more and more and more and more damage. And it doesn't always have to be on the ult either. If they are stunned, your normal orbs will do 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever percentage extra attack, because you have Stun Strike and the enemy is stunned. So let's do this, let's do that. We need to change 3 orbs here, which works out, because we have Leon. So, Velzard, you know, the stun is cool. There are certainly some places where you can cheese the bosses, and you could stun them, you could stun lock people. She is another stun character, which opens up a lot of possibilities. But, it's like, do you really want to do that? It's a possibility, but I don't. Stun teams are generally reserved for, like, you need to beat a Dire 2 stage, and you have no way to do it except using Reckoning and surviving for so long, and the only way you can survive that long is by stunning the enemy, or stunning at least one of them. And the Frostbite is a debuff enhancer, which is cool, because that would work very well alongside the previous meta, the Warrior's Mind 2.0, which had the Dread effect and the control stacks, and you add Frostbite onto that, and it's just a whole lot of debuff power, which is what it was wanting. But that team doesn't want stuns. But it can certainly use the Aegis buff, So, I mean, we could put her on there. Let's do this with Leon. Let's stack again. Boom. And then we'll take you out for Violet. Perfect. We'll use this orb change, and we'll actually not use the Blanc swap because I want to send the ult for Velzard because that gives us extra weakness strike on Leon, which is the whole point of support ults. Let's turn that off so we can actually see Velzard ult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we don't need to watch Blanc at all. But I do want to watch Velzard's ult. She's the showcase unit. And it looks pretty good. I wouldn't say it truly blows me away, but it does look good. I think I still like Blanc's ult better from the last meta. Ice Cold Spiritual. Sure, okay. And you're not meant to do damage, so like 53k, I don't really care. It's more meant to enhance the other characters, Leon, or the free-to-play Aritas, or the other two characters that are going to come out eventually for this team. That is what's really important, and that's what's really impactful. So, this is turn 7, okay. Let's bring Leon back up front for Violet, and then we could just do the whole rigmarole again, so ult swap, Frostbite /stun /orb change, boom, 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 and then we'll do one final stack. I don't know if we're actually having enough points to use every single buff here, but it's, you know, it's not that big of a deal. I just want to make sure I use all of the abilities from Velzard to help Leon do more damage here. So 374 points, certainly not a full stack, and certainly not enough to use all the 90-point skills I have. But it's going to be enough because this is only EX2, and she doesn't have that much HP. So, Leon, his jacket is not enhanced with defense, so whatever his defense is currently, 15.3k defense. Okay, well, let's go ahead and apply the things that I do want to apply. So let's do this buff and that buff and the weakness strike, and that leaves us with 114. Let's use the element buff because we already have stacking magic attack from the masked hero. We don't need to add on any more from Violet. It will certainly help our damage, but it's not exactly necessary. Oh, but also I want to stun. So never mind, we're not going to use that skill. So now that we can stun Milim, this now makes our stun strike relevant, because now even our normal orbs, and especially our ult, will do more damage because everybody has been stacking stun strike for this entire run. And so we'll do a little bit extra damage on our normal orbs. Unfortunately, I don't have a Leon orb, but let's go ahead and... I don't think she'll die from this. If she does, then we'll just kind of come back. But this ult will give us another 25% weakness strike. So Leon right now has 111 from his own skill, 15% from the barrier, which is the union stuff. And then he's got 185% magic attack. The 5%'s coming from the Protector Benimaru in the support slot. 50% stun strike, 50% weakness strike from the ult that we sent with Velzard earlier. And then we'll send this. We don't need to watch this again. Okay, good, you didn't kill. She actually crit, I think. Which helps us keep her alive. And then Leon should kill here, because he should do a couple, like, probably 10 million or something, give or take. And we should be looking good. And he'll have the Aegis, and he'll have, what, 15k defense? I don't know what portion of the defense it takes, but he does 15 million, sure. And with Aegis. So Velzard is just a support character with the Aegis buff. She can buff 2 different forces, so let's build maybe a dragon character force thing now and see how that goes. And maybe in a stage that can be stunned permanently. Let's find something. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you mean to say that the Frieren team needed more damage? I mean, I'll certainly take it. I mean, we just got Blanc to do that, and now we've got Aegis effect. We're gonna go into Calamity Conquest versus the Orc and make him our complete fucking bitch. And as long as we have the points for everything, we should be okay. If we have enough points. Okay, so The Frieren team. Obviously, it does a literal butt ton of damage. I was going to do the second clip with the Warrior's Mind 2.0 team, but trying to add another 90-point skill and another 25-point skill, it was kind of unwieldy. So I decided not to do that, and I went with the Frieren team, which people might have, unless you're just starting now, which I'm sorry that you can't get this team. But it, Aegis does a lot of damage, and it will enhance our damage. We know that the Frieren team does a butt ton. You know, weakness strike, attack buff, element buff, synergy, alt damage, EX alt damage, alt resistance down. And so if we're to add both the Blanc buff, which is double damage, and then we add the Aegis buff to it, it's going to get a little bit feisty, I guess. So we just have to build up to that stage. We have the EX alt with Fern already on turn 2, so she goes away. And now it becomes an exercise in just building up points and stockpiling skills. Because in order for this to work, we do need to use at least 2 of the buffs early, which is going to be the Fern personal buff and then the Blanc buff, because the Dark Resistance debuff from Blanc means nothing on this team, because everyone who's nuking is light. But I do want that double damage, which we can very much hold. And then Fern's magic buff and synergy power buff we can definitely hold in the back. And then that leaves us going probably to turn 7, because that's right before he one-shots, to use the other Fern skill, the Frieren skill, the Raphael skill, and then the Aegis skill. We just have to make sure nobody dies. But because this team, it doesn't have that many debuffs, but it does have debuffs in general. And unfortunately, I don't remember what I did wrong here. I don't know if it was sealed or if I used it and it wasn't time yet. But I didn't have the Unleash Magic state on for the nuke, which would have been the 80% element down, which the Frostbite would have enhanced by 30%, so it would have been even more impactful, which means that technically we could have done even more damage. And it also is going to impact the alt resistance down that Fern is doing and the weakness resistance down debuff that Raphael is giving. So the Frostbite on this team, while not a quote-unquote debuff-focused team, is still going to make a pretty big impact, because 30% to all of those is impactful. And it could have been more had I... Okay, so I did use it, I just wasn't in time. No, wait, I should have been in time, right? So I did use it here. Why didn't it activate on turn 7? Well, that's weird. I guess we'll find out together then, because I don't remember this. Okay, sure. Anyways. So I think this will be the final clip of the video. Obviously, there will be more showcases coming out that will have the new Velzard in it. We got to do the Leon showcase, we got to do the Shizu showcase, so this will definitely not be the last time you see her, and I don't want to take up too much of your time today, because she is, at the end of the day, just another support character. It's cool that she has a nice fancy new buff, and it is fairly powerful, but I don't think she's changing the world with it. And that, I think, is one of the problems I have with this team, is that the Warrior's Mind team, debuffs were not really a thing. We had debuffs. We didn't fully focus and triple down on debuffs like that team did, and it ended up doing a butt ton of damage. This is just a blue stacking team. You make blue orbs, you make points, you do big time 90-point skills, and you move on with your day, and it takes like 10 minutes to do one run. It doesn't excite me at all, I guess is where I'm getting at. So while Velzard's kit looks very cool, the stun is a gimmick. The Frostbite, if you're not like on a debuff focused team or even have some debuffs, that skill is kind of not great. We can't stun the Orc here, so the stun strike means nothing. And the Aegis is a good skill. Okay, why didn't that activate? Turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. Or turn 5, turn 6, turn 6. It should have activated here. Maybe it's because she was stunned, it was held off on a turn. Yeah, so I'm just a little bit confused there. It's almost so midnight for me now. It's been a long day. Someone can educate me in the comments. Maybe I just used it wrong, or I'm thinking wrong, or something going. There's something going on. He doesn't have the debuffs though, so I'm just a little bit lost. But we do have 400 points, which means that we do have enough to use everything else that we need to do. So we'll do the Frieren buff, the Raphael buff. We'll bring Fern in, and then we'll bring Velzard in. So you for whoever. Okay, and then Velzard in for Blanc, and we'll use those final 3 skills, so the Aegis, the ult, and then the Frostbite, and then we'll take a look at how that Frostbite is affecting the Orc. So again, can't stun him. The stun strike doesn't mean anything, and we can't save ourselves from his team wipe because we can't stun. But let's take a quick look at the Orc and how he's got 156 weakness down, 130 Aegis, and 130 ult resistance down, when they should have just been 100s. So, it will make an impact when you have some kind of debuff. So, 700,000 damage on that Frieren normal orb, and then 1.4 million with Synergy and Aegis, and then Fern cleans up with 335 million damage. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, is Velzard a good support character for teams? Yes. She can be slotted into literally like any team that exists right now on any stage that exists right now, which is, again, fantastic. Is it a necessary buff? No, but it will make your life easier. Is her other skill kind of gimmicky? Very much so. You can find uses of it. I'm not saying it's useless, but you will have to think a little bit about it. And then I don't have access to her traits. So overall, I think Velzard is fine. Again, she doesn't change the world, but she works. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I overselling her? Am I underselling her buff and her second skill? Let me know, but that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.